Hello, friends. We're back with Whitney. You might remember her from maybe almost a year ago. QueenofMillions.com. She's got a lot of women into crypto and is coaching and helping them along the way to financial freedom. For people that don't remember you, maybe just give a quick intro.
Yeah. Hey, I'm so glad to be here today. Okay, little intro. Hi, I'm Whitney. I go by Whitney Magic, and I have a community called Queen of Millions. Right now, we have over 200 ladies international across 20 different countries, and it's a space for a lot of women who are like taking their crypto journey seriously for the first time this market cycle. So a lot of beginners, and then a lot of people who just want to get deeper within the strategies. And we're very PulseChain centric. So I've been I've been here in the PulseChain world, love PulseChain, but also love to find the opportunities in the space so that you can train your brain to like spot the best patterns and then fall in love with your crypto plan. Anything else I should?
Cool.
I'm here in Austin. And I just love like bringing a lot of women together as well. So that's kind of the gist of me.
Awesome. Yeah, we're both like-minded. We both want financial freedom, and a lot of people watching probably came to crypto for that, to escape the rat race, escape the 9 to 5. Crypto is kind of the only investing area other than, starting a business and investing in yourself. But other than that, it's crypto that's really going to reach that financial escape velocity for you. Not really the stock market, not really bonds. Unfortunately, in the era that we're in, inflation's running rampant and the American dream is slipping out of reach. But luckily, we have all this hope and optimism here in crypto. So you mentioned patterns. Like, what kind of patterns are you following in the crypto markets?
Ooh, well, okay. So like one example. So as we speak about like financial freedom, and I think a lot of people where it's like when crypto, especially when the masses come in, they're like Bitcoin, or they're like, oh, well, I was too late to Bitcoin, or it's so expensive right now. And today is a day, today's the May 21st, and we just hit a new all-time high at 109. And so everyone's still like, Bitcoin. But what I also help people do is like, we see Bitcoin, but can you understand the patterns going on behind the scenes to trust, first off, that like altcoin season is here, or that it's coming, and like seeing the patterns collectively on that front where like Bitcoin dominance loosens. We all know this. We start to move into altcoin season. And then even just training our minds to see like what are some of the hottest crypto patterns right now and trends, because crypto, we know it's deeply speculative, and it's really a lot about like a movement of like people are moving into this asset class. And it's a matter of seeing like where is the consciousness of humans, like what are they most pulled to, most drawn to, what's the latest buzz, but in something that has like a really strong foundation to it. So I think patterns is a blend of like where are people's attention going to, and also what would be a metric of bringing more people in, and then how do you get the whole timing game right. So for a lot of people, especially our type of people, it's like not Bitcoin that's going to be the winner to get you financial freedom over the next year. But instead, it's like, how do we play the altcoin game and align our money in a safe way that's aligned to our risk tolerances?
Yeah, especially if you're new. A lot of people that love Bitcoin, a lot of the maxis have been holding since, I don't know, 2015 or even earlier. And they did really well, but it's now become the heaviest object to move. It's the most highly volatile. It's got the best brand name awareness, but now all the institutions are the only one left to buy it up. And to the Bitcoin maxis, it's sacrilegious to say that you don't have a whole lot of life-changing gains left. But let's say Bitcoin goes to $300,000 and you're just getting in for the first time. A 3x is cool, but in crypto, so much more than that is possible. And we know that because we've both experienced it, even just as early as last year. It can go down and sideways for a long time and lower than you ever thought possible. But when it comes back, it can make all of that worth it. We've seen in Ethereum, like months of losses erased in 1 week because Ethereum pumped from 1,800 to 2,500. So it's extremely volatile, not for the faint-hearted. But people like you and I, we always try to warn people about the game you're getting yourself into. So for new people, how do you ease their concerns and fears? What are their fears? Like, what do you hear most about what they're scared of?
Oh, I love the fears. I actually will message people to be like, hey, tell me your fears. Where are your concerns? And like, can I speed you up in the journey so that you can be on the road to understand what value actually is? And so one of the biggest questions and concerns really goes back to like, what is crypto backed by? There's a lot of draws that especially the women have towards like ethically, where they're like, I don't want to play the stock market game, but I feel drawn to crypto for whatever reason. But they're like, I actually don't understand how this thing goes up in value or what's the value behind it. And well, I was going to ask you, but the best question to like answer to poke hole in that one is to then ask. I love asking my ladies of like, well, what's the value behind a US dollar?
Mm-hmm.
Like, is there actually
The
gold?
belief.
Right. And so people then it starts to stir things in their mind too, and then realize that like crypto is really, and everything in life is just value is whatever we make of it and whatever we give to it. And from there, it's like to be able to see the landscape of what's moving ahead right now, where it's like we have a president that is screaming from the rooftops to buy crypto. We have institutions. We have like institutions buying. We have that in companies getting it on their books. We have more bridges of companies buying up, whether it's like talks within XRP or USDC, like all these different mergers that are going on. That's just from the start, but it's just seeing how like the sentiment around crypto has shifted. And I think a lot of people forget it because they're so zoomed in. And so a lot of times when my women bring fears to me, I'm like, hey, can we like zoom out in time and just see where we are and how much has shifted over the past year, 6 months, 9 months, and where the world is moving towards. Like we all like over the years, we've seen where it's like the fear is like crypto's going to zero. And now we're like, crypto's not going to zero, but what's going to be implemented, what's going to be integrated.
Yeah, because we're moving from basically an information economy to an attention economy. And a lot of crypto is one big rotation, at least in this bear market, it has been. It's a culture casino. It's this coin one week, it's this coin the next week. The meme coin casino is what a lot of people are playing right now. But I think a lot of us in the know realize that, yes, you can play that game, but you also are holding something that's going to be around here for decades. It's going to be the future of all money. It's a better way to do money. And as a side effect of us being greedy and speculating and gambling, if at least we just hold some of our bags in core assets that have real long-term potential, we're going to end up with more freedom, more ability to more control over our finances. And that's the real use case of crypto, is like censorship resistance, along with number going up and storing value. That censorship resistance is going to become more important as we see people's bank accounts get shut off and people getting limited, and governments telling you what you can and can't buy, taxing you outrageous amounts. So this is the way out. They're also, every government around the world is debasing their currency by printing more of it. It's happening in the USA, just slower than every other country, but it's still happening, and it's still happening fast, relatively to like even 10 years ago, or, your parents' generation was able to actually feasibly buy a house with a two-person income. And that was the American dream, or maybe even one person back in the 50s and 60s.
Yeah.
That's not really possible. Like we'll save our whole 20s and 30s just to buy a small condo with a regular full-time job, working harder than we ever have, like 50, 60, 70-hour weeks, blue collar, white collar. It's all slowly seeming like a dead end, and crypto is the way out. And I feel like we've both found that, and we're just trying to get other people to see it from our lens. Some people think it's a scam because there are a lot of scams. Do you ever get people that just roll their eyes, and when you say crypto, they kind of have a gut negative reaction?
Okay, so it's interesting because I'll have guys do that to me, but the ladies, I will not. The ladies look with intrigue. And this is, so I even found this is interesting as you were saying things where you're like, oh, we're all gambling over here with meme coins. And I actually have most of the women who come to me, they're not gambling with meme coins because the way that women and men do crypto and what we're pulled to is dramatically different. So instead, I find the big problem, fear, concern with women is they're usually too safely balanced. So it's heavily leaning into the top 10 coins or just Bitcoin. And then it's encouraging them to dip their toes in the altcoin market and learn to speak and spot why price goes up, what is actually innovation, what has a true following, like training their mind to be able to see those patterns, to be like, this one actually has legs versus this project is trash. So I actually, and then I very slowly / not at all bring them into meme coins. It's like very slow, but we get on in. But there's that being said, there's plenty of other altcoins and plenty of other technology out there to be able to spot like where the world is moving to and what's being adopted. So I find like a lot of women just like their other part is like their fear of being like there's so many layers and pieces to this that they're like, how do we play this game safely? They want to be responsible with it. And I'm like, I have a methodology for you guys. Just go step by step. There's videos. And that's like one solution to it. But ultimately, like women want to understand.
Yeah, that's good. I guess a lot of a lot of dudes are just apes, degenerate apes, and
Yeah.
we'll admit that too. We a lot of us come in for the get rich quick, but then we stay when we realize there's way more. It's a significant movement. It's kind of the biggest thing since the internet, right? It's like the internet of money. So you mentioned the patterns and what you look for in a solid altcoin. I know you're interested in PulseChain. Why do these things stand out among the thousands of others, random projects out there?
Why does PulseChain?
PulseChain and whatever else you might be interested in.
Okay, so this is where I'm particularly huge on building a conviction. So like, and I've had women who have come into the space before when like the market is really high, and they'll be like reflecting back, being like the wisdom they gained from that period is like they will have gone too fast, too hard into too many coins. And then as the market goes down, they're like, I don't have capacity to get into all of these coins. And that's why my number one question that I always ask my ladies is, what is your conviction? Why are you buying these coins that you're buying? And the way that I like to teach it is like I like to say there's three parts to building out your conviction. One is macroeconomics. So what is the timing going on globally in the world? Is it a good entry point? Two, technical analysis. So obviously price matters, time matters. You got to read the patterns to some degree. And then three, lastly, is your intuitive or your personal relationship, like your personal belief in a coin. And I have little frameworks for each of those. But when it comes down fundamentally to any coin, I like to start off with your personal belief and your intuition to be like, okay, what is the coin? Like, what are the things behind it? What's your belief in the future and why these things will go up? And it's like create your list of your conviction. So like, for example, in the PulseChain world, my two biggest conviction pieces of why I love it is because of liquidity and community. And the more that like ladies go into it and they start to understand it, they're like, I understand why this is a no-brainer. And it may just take time, but I understand I have a strong conviction and belief, and I can go harder into PulseChain because I believe in this.
What do you mean by liquidity?
Like how little money it takes to be able to pump. So like, Pampy.app. Like you can see how much money it takes that can be injected into PulseChain to have prices move up 5, 6, 10, 20x. And it doesn't take very much.
Yeah, that's true. And that's the benefit that's the feature in a lot of these coins.
Yeah.
Lower liquidity, you can pump harder and you can dump harder. But understanding what that means is a big breakthrough moment for a lot of people. Bitcoin has the most liquidity, which means it takes billions of dollars to move it. And that's why people are cheering for Michael Saylor and Strategy and BlackRock to buy their bags. Because you with $1,000 can't move that price at all. But you with $1,000 coming into a micro cap meme coin, you will actually push the price up. And then there's the whole range in between. So I think, yeah, PulseChain's in that Goldilocks zone of like, it's got so much attention, so much activity. It's all organic, but it's still low liquidity enough that a couple $1 million coming in would really, really set things off, which is not that much money in the grand scheme of the whole world.
Yeah. What's your personal, like, if you looked back at your conviction around PulseChain, what are your biggest anchoring points? And you can pick Hex or whatever it is, but what's your biggest conviction?
Sure. Well, the longer something goes on, it's called the Lindy effect, right? The longer something's been alive, the longer it's probably going to be alive. Previous life expectancy implies future life expectancy. And like Hex has been around for 5 years. PulseChain's only been around for 2. But the brand awareness of Hex and the mind share, we call it, it's permeated through all of the PulseChain ecosystem and all of crypto. People either love Hex or they hate it, but they've all heard of it. And they've all got this visceral reaction. A lot of people love to hate it. They just hate watch everything Richard Hart does and all the Hexakin people. They love to like laugh at us from the sidelines. But when the price goes up, a lot of those people, because it's fresh in their minds, will ape and buy into the confirmation bias green candles. So you've got just, I think, good marketing, good brand awareness there. It stood the test of time from a technology standpoint. These are incredibly solid products. Everything that we talk about on PulseChain, well, everything that I talk about, and probably you as well, like, it doesn't have admin keys where somebody can just come and shut it off or mess with the system to a point that would like corrupt the entire system. Not only Hex, but PulseX, PLS, most coins, even a lot of DeFi projects, they don't have middlemen pulling the levers. And that's the difference between real crypto and fake crypto. So Hex and PulseChain are real crypto, meaning you're in full control. There's no company or middleman that is, pulling the levers behind the curtain. The founder was a big part of the beginning because I believe that the founder believes in himself and his projects, and I don't see him giving up. He literally beat the SEC and gave us regulatory clarity, which is something that no other cryptocurrency has besides Pulse, PLSX, and Hex. These are the only three that have specifically won in an SEC case, which is extremely bullish. And that was thanks to the founder really taking one for the team and putting himself out there and taking the risk. So yeah, technology, team, founder, Lindy effect. I mean, all these reasons, I could probably keep going on. I mean, I've been, accumulating more. I definitely have more now than I started with. And like, I wouldn't be if I didn't believe that this had a really bright future. And what else? Like you look at a lot of this other stuff and you could tell that they don't even actually have the passion that our community has, because people need to pay KOLs, key opinion leaders. VC companies will try to pay people off to get nice articles written about them, but they don't have that soul and like that real passion, that authenticity that you've got with the community here, which is hundreds, if not thousands of people on Twitter and social media, YouTube, that are just talking about it because they like it. They're talking about it because they might see a facet of it that maybe we're not talking about. And I still learn new things from time to time about why the ecosystem is so good. But yeah, because we're not getting paid off, you can really tell it's got a lot of heart and soul. Heart, no pun intended there. It's a good place to be. It feels like crypto it's been frustrating for a lot of people. It's taken longer for this so-called altcoin season for things to really start pumping. But I wouldn't want to be in any other community because I just don't think they have the potential. I think Hex and PulseChain, this is like the underdog story of crypto. All the pieces of the puzzle are here. The marketing component is here. The branding, the technology is here. The builders. Now we just need retail money to flood the market again. And it's things outside of our control. Like I believe interest rates need to come down. Inflation needs to stay low. But all of the pieces are aligning. So I'm bullish. I'm a little bit reinvigorated this past couple of weeks, especially today with Bitcoin at an all-time high. Ethereum bouncing back hard to $2,500. I'm bullish. What else can I say? People that have been following me know that I've just been a perma-bull. But if you think about it, it's been 5 years since Hex launched. And we had a great run, huge dip in recovery. And some people think that's a buying opportunity. But if you look at the next 5 to 10 years, that's literally the time horizon that I'm thinking about, not just even the next year. We might see the 4-year cycle broken. We might see Hex and PulseChain and altcoin season run into 26 or beyond. Things are different now, and it's not necessarily as predictable as a 4-year cycle. All this to say, I think we're in the right place at the right time. That's why I like it.
Yeah.
To answer the question.
I think that with the 4-year market cycle, it's interesting because I'm like, I feel like we just got extended a little bit. I feel like we still might be in range. And I think one of the only reasons, and I think this may be the last year we're like in the 4-year market cycle, is because of the global competition with crypto, where Trump is screaming from the rooftops of I want America to be the crypto capital of the world. And then we actually have China, who's flipped their stance, where they previously banned crypto, and now they're like, hey, the America's behind this. We got to kind of get on board with this. And so it's to see this global competition where like no one's going to go down without a fight of just being like, here, America, you can just take that title. So I think that there's going to be a lot of there's just a lot of adoption that's actively going on within Bitcoin. Then there's a lot of companies that are like, we can't skip this. Like we have to build the bridges and adopt these things and have the partnerships. And I feel like that's going to be what the tipping point is into altcoin season. But naturally, like once Bitcoin does get over, like feel too expensive for people, they do start looking for other opportunities, hence where altcoin season is presented. So this is where I'm like, I think, yeah, what's up?
You can do so much more with Ethereum and PulseChain that you just can't do with Bitcoin. I think retail will eventually figure this out. Like a lot of people already have. The word DeFi stands for decentralized finance, and you have that with Ethereum. And PulseChain is a clone of Ethereum. Bitcoin, you can't build on top of. It's really slow, it's inefficient, it's outdated. People have tried to build on top of it, but users prefer the Ethereum experience. And yes, the Ethereum user experience still sucks, but it's better than Bitcoin, and it's still improving. So the way things are now are not the way they're going to be in 5 years, 10 years. Yeah, it's smart contracts are basically the innovation with Ethereum. It allows people to build coins on top of it, basically replace all the products at a bank. So decentralized versions of borrowing and lending, decentralized stores of value, like Hex was designed to be. All these things are creating a parallel digital economy that people are waking up to. And you were saying about, America being first and everybody wanting to copy, no country wants to get left behind. I think even El Salvador was kind of first, and some of these small countries like Bhutan are waking people up from an institutional side. But when it comes to the actual utility as well, Bitcoin is kind of a pet rock. It doesn't do much. And when people realize that Ethereum is like the new digital oil, I'm still really bullish. I still think Ethereum can go to $10,000 and beyond, because all the developers are on Ethereum. All the best roadmaps, all the smartest people. It's where all the innovation is really happening, and that's also sacrilegious to say if you're a Bitcoin maximalist, is that Ethereum has more price potential, yes, but also because it has more utility. That's why.
Yeah. It's just I'm like we're in the right space in the right time, and for my ladies out there, it's just like I think I'd love to get into just like what like women actually want to see differently than like what men look for. But it's like everything that we're nerding out with on these deeper levels, it's like when you can start to see the levels of like, okay, the macroeconomics affects the crypto world, affects the Bitcoin price, and then Bitcoin helps fuel altcoin season. And then when you can start to see these things, you can understand like the method to the madness, where you're like, I understand the patterns. Like Trump pulls this thing around tariffs, this does that. We're just waiting for these games to play out. And then the more that you can see it, you can be like, I can relax in my own investing in crypto game and be like, I know my conviction, I have what I stand for. Like it becomes a lot more like method to the madness. And I find in the crypto space, there's just so much madness and so many new things that are coming out and so many new things, like you said, the attention economy. Like everyone's just trying to vie for our attention, and attention being money. So they're trying to be like, come this way. And so everyone's just slapping on digital assets or the blockchain or innovative technology. And less people actually know what's backed behind it, and if something's truly decentralized or why they're investing in it. And so this is where I just love my women to be able to understand like, hey, what's your plan? What are you available for? What are you not available for? What are your money goals? And the more that you can go back to like the zoomed out lens, the more that you can dive in with a little bit more pointed like attention to be like, okay, I actually am on track.
How do you get people, your women's group, to stay patient and focused? Because for us guys, like there's a lot of depression, anger, and when people get angry and like impatient, they start shooting themselves in the foot. How do you keep the peace?
Okay, the great thing about this. So with Queen of Millions, one of my favorite things is the culture and the community. So we have a school platform where everyone's like posting their questions, I'm posting news updates, and then every week we come on for a weekly call. The like policy in the group is like there's no stupid questions and like your emotions are welcome here. And that like open policy allows like at the beginning of every call, I'm like, what is the like thoughts behind your head right now in the crypto world? What have you been saying to yourself about your portfolio? And I want people to be transparent, because oftentimes when someone shares one thought that they have, other women will be like, me too. And then we get to like actually unpack it to be like, is that just emotion or is that truth? And then we get to like even let go to the next deeper layer to be like, is that in alignment with your strategy of where you're going towards? Or is that something you really want to be doing in the next 6 months? And that way they get to like zoom back from the emotion, observe it, and then be like, this is my plan. And even beyond 6 months, beyond a year, 2 years, like this is my plan of what I plan to do with my money when crypto moves to certain thresholds. So the community support and the culture has been really beautiful. And then also the women in the space are like very supportive of each other. So like they'll post in emotions and then everyone else is like coaching each other and like lifting each other up. So
Well,
there's
that's
just a
universal.
really,
I think
yeah,
everybody could use a little more emotional management skills, because that's the key to investing, is to not be, not have the tail wag the dog, so to speak. So
yeah.
what's some of those what are some of those common emotions like that you do? I mean, obviously fear, but there's different flavors of fear, right?
I mean, FOMO is huge, huge.
FOMO.
Huge. And because even like it's interesting where of course, like, well, we want to be like, well, like if we want to look back hindsight 2020 of like inauguration day being the top. Um
Hmm.
at a day like that, everyone still would have that fear of like, if I sold, then or like if I didn't enter the market, what if it keeps on rising? And so that's like a FOMO right there of like, I'm missing out on a 400% possibility just to take like 20% off the table. And so FOMO is a big emotion. Also a fear of like getting it wrong, like getting it wrong or getting scammed. There's a fear around that. There's a fear around security. So like I love Trezor, like setting up with the hardware wallet and the whole 9 yards and like really having ownership of your coins. And I find it's interesting with the moment that women are like that they admit to me that they're like, ah, I have my Trezor sitting in my closet, but I haven't done it yet. And
Mm.
and I like pause and I'm like, where's the fear? Like let's just unpack it a little bit. And usually it's that they don't trust in themselves or trust in the system or they don't feel fluent in it. And it's like, okay, can we just like sit through this a little bit together? Or allocate a time on your calendar, or what is it that will help you make that movement? Or just to like talk about it a little bit more. But there's a series of questions and a lot of, I think with women, it's like getting it right is a thing. Which is
Nobody
also why,
wants to be wrong. Yeah, nobody
right.
wants to feel like they were a fool, and a lot of people, after experiencing only down, they're probably questioning their entire existence of why are they here? Are we even in the right place? Is crypto ever going to return? Look, like I think it's going to, but there's fear on the way down, and then there's fear on the way up too. Like you said, there's fear of missing out, and that's like being afraid that you don't have enough. And I think we just need to remember those patterns of like, remember the last time it went up and how you probably might have wanted to buy more. Maybe you did buy more as it was going up, versus now that it's down, you're thinking about selling. But just remember the frequency of the flip-flops of emotions. Like, hopefully, I think if you've been in crypto at least a year or longer, you've at least had one mini cycle of not euphoria, but like positive and negative emotion. And just think back to the time when things were good, and when things are good, think back to the time when things were not good, and how it's hard. It's easier said than done. I'm also learning as we go along too. And if none of us are going to be perfect traders and time the exact top and bottom, but just to stay sane, just remember that everything is cyclical.
Yeah. Which is like, it's so interesting to notice, like with you and me, like what we're even saying. Cause I was like, that's not even a concern for women. Like a lot of the women, it's quite easy to show the cyclical nature. Like women, I think are generally quite, first off, intuitive, but also we understand cycles. Like we run on a 28-day cycle versus you run on
Mhm.
a 24-hour cycle. And so as long as, and this is where like within Queen of Millions, I also have an in-house macroeconomist. So like we're breaking down all of the global trends and even like we broke down like all the tariff stuff and like for the ladies to understand in real time where we're like, this is a distraction. I mean, it's not a distraction. It's a power game. Trump wants to make a deal. Like we went through the whole 9 yards and they like saw it where they're like, cycles. We understand the power games that are going on in the world.
Mhm. Oh, there's a
And
lot.
yeah, and it's like the more they can see this, they can relax being like, "Wait, we're like really playing the game of life now, aren't we?"
Oh yeah, you're a full participant when you've got money tied to the system, and the culture. Like, you could always opt out and go live in the woods and stuff, but like if you want to like kind of take advantage of riding the waves. It's good to know that a lot of the stuff you see in the news is by design to get you to feel scared or to make you uncertain. And meanwhile, BlackRock just bought all your bags up. Well, retail has been super bearish. They've been stacking their bags up, and they're going to get ready to market it back to everybody when the time is right. But like everything you see on mainstream media, like, oh, Trump this, Trump that, it's to get the clicks, and it's to distract you and almost overwhelm you with information so that you're paralyzed and you can't act. But if you see it as all part of a game, part of almost like this play unfolding, it's a good way to have more control because you distance yourself. You're not, I don't ever recommend people like get too deep into the left or right camp either politically, because they're two sides of the same coin. And like the same people that are in Congress for life are really a lot of times the ones making the decision that the president that's only there for 4 years can only do so much. Yeah, we have to roll with the punches, and it's just not getting led astray by the doom and gloom people that are always fighting and telling you that the world's going to end. You can rise above that.
Yeah. And that's even like you and I, we very much stand for that of like the independent thinking, like question the world, lead with a lot of curiosity. But like it subtly feel in my mind, I'm always like world domination, but it's like as much as you can do in like your own little sphere of orbit. And and like it reminds me of just like the importance, like I last saw you at like in Vegas at the PulseChain conference. And we both got to like speak on our individual panels on that front. But it's just like, it's a reminder of like, to stay, like, I think the best way to stay out of like the fear consciousness of like, I find either people get so sucked into the fear or they just completely neglect the news, which is also a form of disempowerment. And I find like to get this healthy relationship with information and like being on top of the game is really around who you surround yourself with. And like, for example, at the PulseChain conference, like that was one place for me that always brings me back to a level like of home of like, let's bring the minds together. But then it's always like, then once I leave the conference, like who are the people that I'm still surrounding myself in community that keep me grounded and that keep truth as like the highest frequency as well.
That's good. Yeah, you seem to associate with a lot of real people, and I am too online sometimes and too isolated at times. I love those conferences because it's like, wow, all of these like-minded people are proving that we're not crazy. We're all doing this, and we have this greater aligned vision. But for other people out there that might be isolated, I'm speaking from personal experience. It's good to actually get off of Twitter and stop doom scrolling and just touch grass is the saying that we use, but associate with other real people, and you'll realize that it's not, if your life is your Twitter feed, that's very chaotic. I don't think anybody's brain is designed for that many different directions to be pulled in. How do your people have like internet addiction problems?
We haven't spoken about that. I don't think we have the same type of, I don't know. So my ladies love playing on Instagram. I say playing because I do everything with play. Life is play, crypto is play. Anyways, I get them onto Twitter, but and like we curate their feed to be aligned to like who you want to be reading and listening to, like good vibration and all the things like and smart vibrations, all the stuff. But anyways, I don't think it's necessarily the same type of like, I'll be very on it. They'll let me know when they're feeling a little overwhelmed with information. And I'm like, come on back into Queen of Millions. Like we'll translate things for you, or like, come share. And so I think it's like to have certain safe spaces where you can feel like you can go there with home and not necessarily feel so bombarded with all this different stuff. That has definitely felt very nice for them. But yeah, I don't necessarily know if they have internet challenge.
I think X in particular, X can be a dark place, because you're getting the theory of Dunbar's number is that the human brain maxes out at about 150 connections of real people, because we not only have to remember our connections to everybody, but then their connections to everybody else in the group. And so it's this multifaceted, like person A to person B, and then how does person B think about person C, and then what do I think about person C? So we get limited pretty quickly, and after you get past 150 followers. That's called Dunbar's number, right? 150 in real life friends, but people online have, you know, thousands of followers. It's like we physically cannot process all these different relationships, all these different information sources. And it can be a real also confirmation bias machine where you like more of what you like, but you never see the alternative opinion. It'll just keep showing you more of what you like. So being conscious of like feed management, managing toxicity or pure negativity, it's, I don't know, maybe this is only my personal experience, but I think a lot of the new kind of struggles and mental illnesses are brought on by the internet that we're not really prepared to absorb.
Yeah, and because everyone's just in it, and I think a lot of people's work is so in it as well that
Yeah.
I think boundaries and relationships around that can be a little bit harder to discern with. Um, yeah, interesting. I'm curious with what you think this crypto market cycle. What are some things that make it different or interesting? And then like, what
Oh
are some
yeah.
things that you think you need to like master to win it?
Yeah. Emotional state control is huge. A
Mhm.
lot of people can't, and that's why they always sell the bottom and buy the top. Um, Doing things when it's not easy to do, persistence, and keeping an open mind and being adaptable as well. Like I used to, you know, probably talk more negatively about meme coins than I do today because I realized that, oh, they have a tool as an onboarding purpose, and meme coins can be the language of some people who are over on Solana that might get into PulseChain because meme coins are what they're accustomed to. Adapt that skill is not like meme coins as a skill, it's adaptability is what that skill is. And I mean, like I guess I already said patience. This cycle is a little bit different. You know, Bitcoin topped before it reached a new all-time high before the halvening, which has never happened. It's got institutional adoption, which has never happened. The 4-year cycle is theoretically just based on the halvening, but might not be at some point. And we never had a true alt season like we've had in previous cycles. So everyone thought, oh, well, meme coins are the new altcoin. It's like, maybe, but there's also 10,000 coins now being created a day. So there's this oversaturation. I think the ability to filter information is kind of the skill going forward. Not only, filtering your emotional state or having control of your emotional state, but being conscious of what's coming in to your news feed or what you're focusing your attention on, because there is an infinite amount of meme coins. Everything is oversaturated. And if you're looking for something just to get rich quick on, like everyone's got something for you these days. So less is more, I suppose.
Mhm.
Trimming the feed up, I guess that's a skill that we should all try to have. What about you? What do you think?
I think less is more is great. Also because I think the greatest problem in actually, now that you're saying it, I was like, there's two problems. One is definitely the attention. But I think it's two a byproduct because it's such an oversaturated market with so many coins. I mean, we know millions of coins at this point. And I mean, or what we may be in the tens of millions of coins. Who knows?
Probably. Yeah.
Yeah, probably. And so I think the oversaturation just has people feeling so overwhelmed and therefore they're bouncing around or they're like spreading themselves far too thin with diversification. Diversification thinking that they're doing responsible things, but it's like if you're spread too thin, like your decisions, you're not going to actually make a decision and then you're going to round trip yourself and you're not going to be moving like forward progress wise. So I think the oversaturation of information has people not actually like focus on the basics and the fundamentals, and therefore they miss strategy. Um, and the annoying part, but the great thing, the blessing in disguise, which I think you and I like, this is where it's just like your network is your net worth in the crypto world. Like because strategies are so cutting edge right now and they can move so fast in the trends, it's like being on top of that. And I find that the best way to win in the crypto world is truly through your relationships. And that's where it's like how well you network around certain ecosystems or how deep you go into them really does help you. So that's even where like for my community, I bring in a bundle of different like guest speakers definitely within the PulseChain space, but within different wealth topics as well. So it's like we're not here getting wealthy alone. We need an area of experts to be able to help us in the journey. And I think the sooner that people can realize that of like we can't do this alone, And it's just how do you become resourceful to go to the right places?
It's a bit of a paradox, isn't it? Because you're saying, yeah, it's good to get as inside info as you can and stay active on all that. But at the same time, it's good to not click buttons all day, every day, because sometimes the more you do. So a lot of these like life advice things are, it's a paradox. You need both. So we want our investments to be passive, but we need to actively monitor at the same time to adapt to anything that might come up. So what have you figured out in terms of like keeping a passive strategy versus an active one at this current
Ah,
time?
yeah. So I like to have a good chunk of my bag where I'm like, like 80% of my bag, I'm like, I love it. I leave it. I let it ride for the most part. And I may be peeling it off as like the market moves up at certain moments where top signals are coming in. And then with the 20%, that's where I like to play within very intentional and aligned strategies. So I'll keep it less is more. I'll do more research. And once I have strategies that I love, then I like lean heavily into that. And that's where I've been like loving, I love the blend of active and passive, where it's like
Me too.
there's ones where it's like, if I can hold coins that are also giving me free coins, I'm like win, win, win. I want to be buying those coins.
Yeah. Are you referring to your hidden message, perhaps?
My hidden secret, yeah.
Your hidden secret message? For anybody
Yeah.
not following Whitney, there's a kind of interesting ecosystem that she's maybe potentially referring to. It's one of these daily ROI coins. And I agree that those are cool, but I also do want to keep, I think 80 to 90% of my stack in something longer term that just sits there dormant. A lot of my coins for the cycle I have not touched at all, but I definitely have, a smaller subset that I kind of rotate around and try new things. But you want to be careful, and like you should expect to have some losses as well with that, because you're not going to get everything perfect. But then it's just a matter of, forgive yourself if you get rugged or if you lose money on something. Like it's okay to cut your losses if the price goes down and move on, because there's always another opportunity, and you didn't put all your eggs in one basket, because you've still got your long-term conviction plays just sitting there dormant. Like Hex, for example, like that one can just sit there for 5-10 years and know that it's making you yield, even if it's only 4 to 5% APY. That's better than nothing, and it's keeping you from touching it and chasing other stuff. But sometimes the stuff that you chase, like that's been how I've accumulated more coins this cycle. A lot of times is like if I didn't, um, I probably wouldn't be in a better position. But that also requires, keeping your ear to the ground, and a lot of people don't want that. So I think that's the predicament, right?
Yeah. And like the benefit, so like I found for myself, and I'm sure you're this way as well, where it's like the benefit of us going so far in and like being more fluent around certain layers, like you very expert level of fluency, where it's like the more the faster you can make moves. And then typically in crypto, I'm like, the faster you make moves for the things that are like really good, then that's where you get the gains because you're like in extra early. And a lot of people will just miss that because they're like, I'm still trying to catch up and understand. Can I trust this? But if you already have that level of fluency, you can just make a decision and win and sit back and be like, I did my research. I know what's going on.
What are some of the big obvious red flags for new people with like a new coin when doing their research?
Ah, um, big red flag is if you're, and this is where I love going back to conviction, but why are you buying it? Are you buying it simply because someone on YouTube told you to get it? I mean, the paradox right now is we're on YouTube. But if like, particularly if like Alex Becker is like screaming from the rooftops in one of his videos and you're like just going off a list of that, that could be a red flag. And yeah, just kind of seeing the KOL game is really fascinating of like, they shill it to their inside group and then it goes public and then their dumps and the whole 9 yards.
Yeah. I think for the most part, I kind of expect that every coin has some level of that. It's
Yeah.
like on a spectrum, right? Like some people will shield to their inside private groups and then tell everyone else about it. Yeah, people like Becker, I think like some people don't even watch his full videos, and they'll just be like, all right, what ticker symbols did he say? And then they'll just trade off that because they literally just see video, ticker symbol, X number of views on the video, and it's just like a statistic to them that they can kind of trade. But if you can fundamentally research and understand why something has a value, like sell yourself on a value proposition, like, okay, PulseX, it's Uniswap with a buy and burn. It's not so hard to understand, but it's better than just buying it because you watched one of a Crypto Coffee YouTube short, right? Like, hopefully that's your gateway into it, but then there's enough content out there to really do your own research by watching and comprehending what people are saying, like paying attention. Even when I'm watching videos and stuff, I'm sure you do this too. Everybody does. You find yourself kind of tuning out halfway into it.
Yeah.
So if you need to watch something 2 or 3 times, like if there's a 20-minute video, I'm not catching minutes 15 through 18. I'm like thinking about something else because that's my short attention span brain is like fried or whatever. So take it easy to like go slower, make decisions a little bit slower, or not, because there's also the whole sniping thing. What do you think about using bots and getting in super early that way?
I haven't gone down the rabbit hole enough for that.
That's a little too much for me too.
Yeah, I haven't gone down that, but this is where I'm like with you with like less moves is better than more. And this is where I'm like, I'm a lifelong learner. I love researching shit out of like everything. And I mean, it's like, it gets to a certain point where it's like, when is enough? And once I hit that level of trust, then it's like, okay, make the moves. And so I'm big on like less moves rather than more, but that's where it's like, it does the real work is doing research. And it's like, we can either be doing work in the field, in the sun, on the roads, or we can be doing work sitting here watching YouTube videos. Like, what are we going to complain about?
Yeah. I think in the early days for my crypto experience, I was always listening to some kind of YouTube stuff, like some kind of educational YouTube comments. If you can get YouTube Red and the ad-free version, that's really the only thing you need to subscribe to in terms of like, if I could go back and I guess I wouldn't, I mean, obviously I would have said, oh, make the perfect decision if you can go back in time. But for somebody new starting out, and, you know, I would say check out what media and content you're consuming. And if you really want to make money and you're watching like 2 hours of Netflix a day, just replace that with 2 hours of YouTube shorts, or not shorts, YouTube content. And you're actually learning something. It's not just brain rot in that case.
Yeah. I would also recommend, like, not a red flag, but a recommendation is the relationships in the crypto world is just, it's so powerful. Who you have on your team, who's on your inside team, and do you have people that you can flesh conversations out with? And so I'm not saying like, I'm like, it doesn't have to be me. It doesn't have to be a paid community too. I find that paid communities simply just help discern through like information and people easier. But if you're someone else who does want to go create community, I think it's really it's powerful to either share on Twitter to like allow your voice to be heard and seen, but then allow other people to see you so that you can create conversations and relationships, and that therefore you can hopefully take that off of just Twitter and maybe go to Telegram or whatever that looks like for you, so that you can have someone else that you can mastermind with. And hopefully it's someone who's aligned to your values. But really, I'm like, crypto is not a solo sport. And if you think it is, you'll learn some lessons at some point.
Absolutely. Yeah. There's a lot of people to follow like online. So like, who do you follow?
I mean,
I guess
honestly,
not follow, but work with. Yeah.
I mean, following. Honestly love your content and your info and just how you convey. Honestly, I've really recently realized of just how much I appreciate humor in the crypto world. And so, anyways, you do that quite tastefully. And then,
Thanks.
yeah, you're welcome. And then, I mean, it's just like all the people that I'm friends with, and definitely in the PulseChain space, where like Hexkin Hill is one of my good friends. Crypto Sloth is another really good one. And then also I just get a lot of other info. Like I have a research team that I work with as well. So it's like just sifting through, and like I realize that's a perk of where I've gotten to, but it's just going to those places to vet people out where I'm like, I have multi-year relationships to be able to trust news sources that do come in. So between that and then also like Raoul Paul for like macroeconomics.
Yeah. Arthur Hayes.
Not as much. I go in seasons with him.
Yeah, he's always so bullish. So you never know. Like if, but he's a macro guy as well.
Yeah.
So.
Who else do you go to?
Yeah, I don't watch much content online like as much as I used to, but within the PulseChain ecosystem, yeah, I mean, you can follow Sami for the daily news, of course. Even that, it's like for me, it's just like he makes so much content. He's a machine, and like big respect to our friend Sami. But there's not like there's diminishing returns after you watch so much content. Like I do like Raoul Paul, Arthur Hayes. I try to just follow some Telegram news feeds, like certain crypto X accounts that just drop really important news. And I mean, I can go search through my Telegram channel right now, but I don't really feel like doing that. Just curating your feed to the people that consistently provide value is pretty important to do.
Does it help, zooming out, different conversation point, but are you like, does it help whenever you're doing this stuff? Like for my women, like we frequently go back to like our North Star of like why we're doing these things. Is
Yeah.
this like, as a man's perspective, does going back to your North Star and going back to your why of like why you're doing all of this, is that something you have to go back to, or is this fuel naturally within you?
Yeah, I guess it's just been so deeply ingrained for so long that it is second nature. Like I do believe that we're recreating the entire financial system, and like it's an overlap of our greed and self interest. The game theory plays out that it's actually what's best for the whole world until I guess we get new power hungry corrupt individuals. But like in the process of overthrowing the financial, the Federal Reserve and stuff, like hopefully with a peaceful revolution, um, that process looks like what we're living through right now. Like degenerate meme coins and like the whole spectrum of craziness. Like it's all gonna, when the dust settles, it's all gonna end up with like everyone's using a crypto wallet. Everyone's got seamless trading between crypto coins. Everyone's paying for stuff in crypto. And that vision of whether it's, I don't know, 10, 15 years from now, it also ends up in us being early and us being totally financially free. And then maybe we'll tackle some new problems like longevity or aging and stuff. But like I don't really need to remind myself of that so much anymore. But when you do come in, you come in for the get rich quick, and then you stay when you realize it's like a global parallel ecosystem that we're building. I mean, even the fact of like everything in PulseChain is priced in PLS, everything on Ethereum is priced in ETH. Why is that? Because these are like the new currencies of these digital countries almost. So it's kind of a crazy concept, but when enough people get on board, it just becomes the new normal. Like everyone's thinking about selling for dollars, but there's that famous meme of Neo and Morpheus where it's like when you're telling me I could sell my Bitcoin for millions one day, and then Morpheus says no, when you're ready, you won't have to. And they'll be pretty glorious, but let's just try to enjoy the process because it's going to take another decade or so till we get there.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. Yeah, I think you bring up the good point of like the more time you spend in the market, the more time you get to relax to be like, okay, this is a lot. And also, it's actually not that much. And we're here playing this long game because this is what makes sense.
Mm-hmm. There's a certain amount you can't control, right? You can't control how long it's going to take for the tariff deals to come out or how long it's going to take for the Federal Reserve to lower the interest rates again. But it will happen at some point in the future. So that kind of helps me sleep at night. I
Yeah.
don't know about you.
Yeah. I mean, also on that front with the global macro game, I'm like, they actually rely on, they have to make moves a lot more intentionally than what we have to because we're here for the ride. They have to monitor their debt and their international relations and different when people's terms are up and the whole 9 yards. Like they have the whole political game. We just get to be like, when price go up.
Yeah, we'll be here stacking our bags and preparing for that couple of months, those good 6 to 8 months of euphoria, and it does happen. Believe
It
me,
it
guys.
really it really does. I feel like you're a little bit more gloom. I not like
I
gloom, but
I suppose I'm jaded maybe, but
yeah, yeah.
at the same time, I just know it's inevitable, and like I don't know, there's a lot of stupidity in crypto of thinking like, oh, the prices are down because of this part or this part. It's like, no, the prices are down because Ethereum is down, everything is down. People are maxing out their credit cards and can't even afford food, and like the world's having a tough time right now. It's not because I mean, as annoying as it is, like to get delisted off an exchange, it's like that's not the sole. Whatever negative thing you're focused on is not the sole solitary reason that the prices are always down. You know.
Yeah. Yeah. But yeah, I think we've been here long enough to be able to see it, and that's even one thing I like to see, like with a lot of men. Like one of the differences is like men love to see how things work. So there's like a lot of questions of like how, and like women are like, like we don't need to go into all the technicals, but instead they want to understand why. And that's even where it's
Mm.
like I think in this market cycle in particular, seeing the like social movement, how crypto's turned very much into a movement, that part becomes like that's also where it feels like it's almost rigged for women, just to be like, oh, we can understand why like prices go up or why these certain people get behind it. And it's almost it's like the more you get to see those gears shift, I find like the intuition strengthens a lot more. So it's even just dropping that in for like when you're consuming information, just see that there's a different relationship with how women versus men like to consume information and build their level of trust.
Hmm. So what's the why for you?
Um, the why for me, I mean, well, okay. So like last crypto market cycle, like I did well. I bought myself like a few years of freedom of just traveling the world in the whole 9 yards. And like it was great. However, when money was up for me, one of the biggest voids that I felt was I was like living in Bali at the time, like laying in my like beautiful villa. It was like rainy season, and I'm just like listening to the rain, but I was like, my money is like, I did it. I did it. And then I was like, I still feel empty inside.
Hmm.
And for me, it was around purpose. And so I've been spending the last 4 years really like, I mean, the crypto market cycle, um, figuring out what is that purpose for me. And right now, like with Queen of Millions, like this is my like lifeblood, passion, everything. Like I get so lit up teaching women and mentoring them around crypto and like building out their wealth patterns and money systems and like rewriting their whole relationship on that front. So for me, I'm like, yes, like when bull market, but it's like, I'm like, I'll win. Like the ladies will all win. Like I'm in so much alignment right now that I'm like, I don't know. Like my why is just like keep the party going.
Mm.
So I want all of us to win, but that's also because I'm like, I want to bring more women together for more like in-person experiences where I'm like, we get to like travel the world more. We get to like I'm like, whether it's more retreats, whether it's more in-person meetups, like I just feel where I'm like, it's not just about me, but it's like the movement behind this of what I've built. Like I'm excited for the next level.
Hmm.
So I have fun just with the crypto world. And then I also have fun with the women. So I'm like, let's just keep this game rolling. And that's like my why is just how can I find so much more joy in the journey?
I like that. I'm a big fan of keeping the party going as well.
Yeah.
It is, we got it. We're stuck here, like waiting for things to pump. So you might as well try to get some enjoyment out of it, get a little bit of an edge in the markets, and that's all people want because this is like a better alternative than, just doing something half-heartedly that you don't really believe in, starting some other business that you're not really fully even sold on. Like this just feels like what's happening now. And as long as we're just kind of here, keeping the lights on, keeping continuing the story for those that believe, people are going to come and go. And some people that left are going to come back, but we'll be here for them. And
Yeah.
that's ultimately like every individual that's still here talking about crypto is the reason that it's going to continue to survive. Like it takes a village. Is that like a saying? Um, it it wouldn't work if nobody did it, but of course people are going to do it because it's self-fulfilling prophecy. It's like self-reinforcing. So many people made money on crypto in the past. They remember that euphoria. They want it to go again. And we're here to tell the tales of the good times past and the good times to come. And most people that vibe with it, great. If you don't want to be here, there's also like something to be said for if you really hate it, some people just went back to work or went back and started a totally adjacent company that's not crypto related at all. And those people kind of won in a different way because if you might still believe in crypto, but think it's absurd and not want anything to do with it right now, that's fine too. That's just another way to play it.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true. I also I don't find that I don't I run into plenty of people, but I don't run into many people that are very actively I hate crypto. That may just be because I'm in Austin as well. Um, but yeah, And then even as you were saying it too, I was like, wait, I was like, there's another personal why for me, and and I find for some of my other ladies too. But like one of my big whys for me is like crypto market cycle, like life by design, is a big thing I'm passionate about. And for me, it's like I'm young enough too, where I'm like, I want to like prepare myself also for like to have a spacious motherhood and all, and to like be able to do like future life beyond, just on different terms, with different relationship to money. And I also wonder like what's the future where it's like more women who do get to have that spaciousness. Like what future are we all building together? Um, so
Yeah,
yeah,
there's nothing more valuable that you can buy other than your time. And so
yeah,
this is what crypto really does offer that. I hope that was enough hopium for everybody. This has been a big hopium stream. But we do believe in it. You know, we wouldn't be here if we didn't. So we've done about an hour. Do you have any thoughts that you wanted to cover?
Wait, I was like hopium. I was like, I mean, yes, it's hopium, but like, I was like, this also just feels like reality. At least I have enough data too, where I'm like, I'm constantly looking at like playing devil's advocate to certain things. And
Sure.
anyways,
I didn't mean
we'll see.
I didn't mean that in a false hopium way. It's all very real hopium. Yeah.
I know. We'll see how the cookie crumbles, but either way, we're all here changing our future worlds and our realities, and betting on ourselves. And I think that's one of the boldest things that we can do in this life. So,
Yeah. The numbers will go up again.
yeah, yeah. I mean, and they still are.
Some of them
But
are, yeah, if you know where to look.
yeah, yeah. And then at the end of the day, too, I'm just like, if your conviction is so strong, the price point of just one day, a few months isn't going to matter as much as long as you have that belief of where things are moving towards.
For sure. So everybody go follow queenofmillions.com, Whitney Magic on X. And
Yes.
she's got a limited time. Do you have some kind of offer?
Yes, I do. Yes. So for anyone who did tune in, for all you guys here today, ladies here today, I'm giving you $100 off for joining Queen of Millions. You can use the code coffee. Yeah, yeah.
Use my
And
code.
yeah. And so if you use coffee at checkout, go to queenofmillions.com/queen of millions. You can sign up there. And if you have any other questions, you can ping me on Twitter or you can ping me on Instagram. I love chatting with people. Just let me know that you've seen me from here, just so I can get some reference points and know that you're already in this world. But my Instagram over there is whitney.magic.crypto.
Cool. I know there's only about 5% of you watching that are women, but that's also 5% of you that are women. That's more than zero. So if you are a woman in crypto, Whitney is your place to be, your home. Go use Queen of Millions and then use that code coffee. She's good at what she does.
And also I do have plenty of women, wives who come in as well, who are like, hey, I finally met the point where I'm wanting to learn. I'm wanting to understand and speak the same language. So,
do you ever have people where their husband's like a crypto bro and their wife, yeah.
yeah,
You're the
yeah.
wife and you just want to like learn more? Yeah.
Yeah. And they're like, hey, he's been doing this for 8 years and I finally now want to learn this. And sometimes they get a little fund for themselves so they can play and be in the game. And they also just want to be able to speak the language. So yeah, no, I love when like the whole family can get on board. But yeah, you get all forms of people.
Mm-hmm. Speaking the language, it's very complicated from the outside. We invent a lot of funny words, but yeah, Whitney will teach you all of that.
Yes.
So like,
yes.
subscribe, share the video, leave a comment. One more time, queenofmillions.com, code coffee. All you lovely women out there. See you on the next one.
Thanks for having me.